As a coffee-addicted fangirl and lover of fast-talking movies and television, it is beyond me why I have never watched an episode of Gilmore Girls prior to this week. I genuinely can't explain it to you why this has never been a binge of mine. I think it just felt like this huge thing that so many people loved, and it felt like such a quintessential fall show that it never felt like the right time to start it in summer. But this summer, after seeing so many "your wedding is at a country club, who are you" comparisons to "why did you drop out of Yale," it felt like a sign that this would become the fall that I started Gilmore Girls. So let's start with Lorelai, because I would argue that Lorelai is the main Gilmore girl to the point that I'm at in the show. You are introduced to her, I believe, before you're introduced to Rory, and while I do think like the show is going to become more about Rory as Rory ages, initially it very much is about Lorelai. I feel like I know her better as a character up until about episode 6 or 7, more than I know Rory. Rory is kind of the stereotypical like, good student, good girl, very well behaved, has a sweet best friend, is kind of witty, but isn't like there's nothing too crazy about her, whereas Lorelai is very clearly defined from her introduction in the show. We get her asking Luke for coffee, having witty banter with him, like, oh my god, we'll get to that in a second, but the way that they set those characters up, I did not think that that was going to be set up initially in the first episode. I don't know that my heart is ready for another slow burn of that caliber, but I'm in. To me, she's the main character because we just get so much about her relationship with Rory is kind of like how it's framed. It's not like Rory's relationship with her mother and grandparents. It's Lorelai's relationship with her parents and her daughter, and how those two things like are at odds with each other. I knew there was like a little bit of like bad history between Lorelai and Emily and like the Gilmores, but I didn't realize that it started the show that way, that it was like such a tense relationship and that they kind of only start talking again when Lorelai kind of needs money to send Rory to Chilton, which I think was also another way to characterize Lorelai in such a special way, is like she is a woman who is like, she's not perfect. She doesn't have her life put together. She's not in a big city, but she's doing everything she possibly can to have this happy, upbeat life, provide for her daughter, give her daughter the best chance at a future. And I think what's interesting is like, even though Lorelai might be like more easily off the bat stereotypically compared to a character like Xiomara from Jane the Virgin, who is like mom who got pregnant young and is a little bit careless with a daughter who's kind of like the mom herself, who's really smart and like doing things the right way, quote unquote. I feel like Lorelai is very, like, she's doing everything she can. She's very careful. She's willing to take burdens upon herself. And it's not to say other characters like that aren't, but the fact that Lorelai is just, she's quirky, she's crazy, she doesn't dress right the first time she takes Rory to Chilton, but she found a way to get her daughter to Chilton. And I think there's something about that that's so compelling for her as a character. She's complex and feels really real. And I think that it's really fun to get to see her have this confident, witty banter that Rory like sometimes leans into when they're together. But at other times, like Rory is kind of trying to come up with her own personality. She's a little bit shyer. And I really like the way that dynamic plays off of each other. Lorelai is messy, but not in a ditzy way. And I really appreciate that because she's someone who has a lot of deep hurt in her past, but who has clawed her way to have this really, really happy present in life. And you get the sense that like she's built the life that she wants. She has no regrets about the way that her life has gone, despite the fact that it has put her in some more difficult situations. And to be honest, I am flip-flopping on how I feel about Emily and, is his name Richard? Rory grandfather. I don't know what his name is. Richard. Did I say that? So I'm flip-flopping on Emily and Richard. Obviously, I've watched them be super rude to their housekeeper, super unthoughtful at the first of Rory's birthday parties. I've seen Richard and Rory kind of get along at the golf club, and interested to see how I continue to feel about them. I feel like there's going to be something about Emily Gilmore's character that is revealed later on. Not to say that she's like as lovable as Lorelai is, but maybe like she too is a woman who is like a product of her circumstances, and maybe something having to do with her marriage to Richard, who like does seem like a pretty loving and doting grandfather to Rory, but also clearly hasn't been there for his own daughter. And so like, again, I like the complex relationships that are being created, especially with the class dynamic and difference between where Lorelai and Rory are kind of, and where Emily and Richard are. Emily and Richard definitely seem like the kind of people that throw money at the problem because that's the life they've always known, and perhaps that's kind of where Emily comes from. And also, just to strike another comparison to other shows I've watched and loved in the past, in This Is Us, which I don't think this is a huge spoiler, but Rebecca, the mom or wife of that show, her parents were very well off and did not really approve of Jack, who is also played by Milo Ventimiglia. And let me tell you, when he pops on my screen, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it in this show. I just know. They don't approve of him because he comes from a much poorer background than they do, but Rebecca ends up being this really beautiful, wonderful person, and I feel like that's very much parallel to how Lorelai has grown up. And so I'm interested because in This Is Us, they never really explore the grandparents, but I feel like in Gilmore Girls they will, and I'm very interested to see how that plays out because Emily is from a different time than Lorelai is, and maybe she felt like she didn't have as many options, and that's why she was so ashamed of her daughter. But I'm still pretty out on them because they clearly have not made an effort to be in Rory's life, maybe because they're respecting Lorelai's wishes, but it really doesn't feel like it, and I also feel like they have caused so much hurt in their own daughter, but I did kind of feel for them when they left the birthday party and were like, oh, I don't know my own daughter. And you can tell how much that hurts her, especially by how much Lorelai does know Rory. But I think that through line of these mother-daughter relationships is obviously going to play into like the title of the show being Gilmore Girls. And yes, I do have a Gilmore Girls baby tee. Don't ask me how I got this before I got any Summer I Turn Pretty merch. I don't know the answer. And then Lorelai and Luke, which I touched on briefly, their slow burn is going to crush me. Like it's going to be something I can't stand because the ice moment, the way that Luke treats her at the diner, the fact that I realized today in an episode when Lorelai goes behind the counter because Luke is taking too long, that he yells at Sookie, like, Sookie, do not get behind my counter, which you could take as like, oh, it's because it's a fellow chef thing. But I think it's just that he doesn't mind Lorelai being in his space, and he even helps her and like makes sure she has like the better setup. And like, I just cannot wait to see how that is explored because I am such a sucker for like the guy being more in love with the girl in my media, my books, my TV, my movies. I love it so much. And I don't know if Luke is like ignorant to his feelings at this point, but it's clear to me that the show was setting this up as an endgame because I definitely thought from an outside perspective, this might have been like a Monica and Chandler situation. Like these two characters clearly have a lot of chemistry, like they should get together. But literally by like episode 1, I feel like they're insinuating that like Luke and Lorelai should be together. Like Emily sees it, I see it, Rory probably sees it, we all see it. And I'm kind of excited to get to see that. Like, everyone knows you two are in love with each other. Like, just get along with it. But we're not there yet, so I'm just gonna have to bide my time. The show, to me, really feels like it's at its strongest when it's dealing with the Emily, Lorelai, Rory dynamic and kind of the mother-daughter thing. Because, again, the show is called Gilmore Girls. These are essential characters. Like, it makes sense to focus on them. I am so sure other people have made this comparison. But, like, one of the scenes that stood out to me the most, two of them, I guess I should say, is the one where Rory says, like, I got hit by a deer, and nobody really understands her, but the minute that Lorelai comes to pick her up at school, she, like, immediately defends her daughter, immediately repeats it back to her, like, so you got hit by a deer, whereas everyone in the show, like, including Lane, her teachers, are all, like, confused, they're restating it, but Lorelai just takes it for what it is and repeats it, and it's this, like, it's so, I can't even put it into words how, like, palpable the moment it was for me, but it's like, oh, she gets her daughter, she does not question her daughter, and not in a way of, like, you should be questioning your daughter, but, like, she just knows Rory so well, and she understands her, and I think also to some extent, the fact that they have the same name, that, like, Rory is named after Lorelai, plays so much into that, because it's like, they're all kind of one person, these dynamics and differences from generation to generation do pop up. One of my other favorite moments, which was when Rory goes to the golf club with Richard, and Lorelai is kind of jealous, and they start talking about the sweater, and Laura is like, you're gonna stretch the sweater out, like, that's my favorite sweater, like, I love that sweater, and Rory's like, what, I've never seen you wear this sweater, and it's clearly a read between the lines moment, which I think is even, like, explicitly touched on later in the episode when they kind of make up that, like, Lorelai's jealous of her own daughter's relationship with her parents, and the fact that, like, her parents see something in Rory that they can love, that they can appreciate, that they can be proud of, that they never found in her, and, like, that is deep, like, that is deep-rooted frustration and family dynamics, and in that way, I think Lorelai is also very similar to a character like Monica Geller, who has these, like, kind of inferiority complex amongst, like, somebody in her own family. From Monica, it's Ross, but here, it's Lorelai with Rory, and I think it's so well done in this show. Rory so far, I think I'm just kind of not indifferent to her. I definitely relate to her because, like, oh yeah, Rory's smart. She values her education. I will say it irked me immediately when she was considering not going to Chilton because Dean literally talked to her, like, literally one time, like, brand new kid in school talks to her one time. I think it's funny because she's a character that's, like, she should be confident because she has good scores, like she is doing well, but like she's kind of a social pariah at her new school at Chilton. And then she also has never kind of had a romantic relationship with a boy before, so she's exploring that with Dean for the first time. And so it's fun to get to see a character who, like, in the comfort of her own home with her mom, she's like super confident, super witty. But then when it comes to like doing these new things that kind of require her to grow outside of that system, she's kind of shy and hesitant, which I think is another additional like discrepancy between her and Lorelai. Of Lorelai is like so comfortable with everyone, like maybe too much so, like at the parent-teacher conference. But Rory is like not, despite the fact that you'd think because of like their background or like quote unquote social standing, they maybe should be. And it's just, again, it's so interesting to get to see it all play out. And I think there is a really, like a real richness to like them being two sides of the same coin. Now I want to get into like the love interest so far. We've talked about Luke for Lorelai. I really don't care about Rory's teacher. I will not be speaking potentially unless there's somebody more serious. At this point, I can't see myself doing it, but I don't care about anyone other than Lorelai and Luke being together, to be so honest. So far, Dean, I do like him, which I did post like a little YouTube short about Dean, and I was like, sorry guys, I think I'm falling for the propaganda because I love Jared Padalecki. Okay, I grew up in the Super Hulock days on Tumblr, which if you know what that is, please subscribe because we're meant to be best friends. I know Jared Padalecki. I know him, okay? My best friend and I in middle school were like, we're going to be the babysitters for Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki's kids. Like, that was our life plan. That was our career path that we laid out for ourselves. But regardless, the point is that I do love Jared Padalecki. And so it was inevitable that him as young Dean, which has his voice been that deep his whole life, because that's crazy. But I do low-key like him so far. When he's flirting with her on the bus, when he goes to the movie night, like, I do think there is something really cute about him. I like him a lot. So far, there's been nothing, I think, anything bad with Rory. But some of you have me scared from the comments of that YouTube short I posted joking about the propaganda of Dean. They're like, enjoy it while it lasts, like, have fun. So I am scared because I know there's other love interests, so I know something must happen between Rory and Dean, but I have no clue what it is. I'm being so honest. And I'm going to try to reply to these comments, so I would appreciate if people don't spoil it for me. Just talk vaguely or just mark your spoilers so I don't look at them. It's not a huge deal. Obviously, the show's been out for so long. I'm the one behind the 8 ball, but like, I just cannot imagine what it's going to be. Like, I don't know if it's going to be that he becomes controlling of Rory. I don't know if there's going to be some issue with like the Chilton Stars Hollow High School dynamic that's going on between them, and maybe that's like what is foreshadowed by Rory not wanting to go to Chilton. I don't know. I'm interested to find out, and I'm hella interested to see Jess pop up. Hopefully that's soon. I don't know when he comes in the show. Watch it be like season 5, and I'll be sitting here waiting for a long time, but I don't know. I just can't not love Jared Padalecki until Dean does something to make me ignore Jared Padalecki's face. Also, can we talk about the Panera commercial right now? I don't know who the other guy is in it. I don't think it's the guy that plays Logan, but it might be. But Jared Padalecki is in the commercial, and he's talking about how, like you're the stable choice, the reliable one, the first one. And what I think is so funny is Panera is clearly doing, like, a teen girl spin-off, because they just did an ad with Christopher Bryant, and now they're doing one with Jared Padalecki. I don't know, just something to take note of. If they make an ad with Milo Ventimiglia, boy, it's going to be over. I might get that Panera Sips program. I don't know. Okay, moving on. Tristan. Because these are the only 2 boys that have been introduced. You know, one's the Stars Hollow High guy, and the other one is the Chilton guy. Tristan kind of pisses me off. The whole Mary thing is kind of frustrating to me. On one hand, I think it's kind of cute because it's like, oh, he's teasing her. He has a nickname for her. But on the other hand, it's just kind of like a bully flirting and not like a enemies to lovers or academic rivals thing. Like, I will say, if you do love Tristan, you need to watch Max and High expeditiously, because that's gonna feed the Tristan girls, let me tell you. But so far, he just kind of irritates me. He's giving, like, rich, privileged boy, and not, like, until I know more, again, about his background to maybe, like, feel sympathetic towards him, he's just gonna be annoying. And again, at this point in the story, I would not appreciate her leaving Dean or, like, cheating on Dean for Tristan. Again, I don't know what Miss Rory is gonna get herself into, but that's clearly the situation that's been set up so far. And that's kind of all the characters. I will say I think Lane is a really sweet best friend, and I like her dynamic of the fact that, like, Lorelai is basically Lane's mom's worst nightmare, kind of, but like Rory is like such a good girl that she like allows them to hang out. Also, the bit about them always going into the Kim's antique store and not being able to find each other is hilarious to me. And then I love Sookie. Melissa McCarthy is like one of the most charming humans to ever grace the planet. And it's so fun getting to see her because it's almost like every time she pops up, since she's still like not a minor character, but like a side character. She's not always in every episode. There's not a storyline necessarily involving her. Every time she pops up, I'm so excited to see her. One of the things I do want to talk about, because I did talk about it a good bit with The Summer I Turned Pretty, and I feel like it's worth talking about here. Costuming is always intentional. Whether or not it's an Easter egg is like a different story, but it's always intentional. That's somebody's job, and I want to give appreciation to that. Rory's style is super preppy, which obviously goes along with her like going to Chilton, and I think the blue of Chilton is obviously like, it's kind of a prestige color, but additionally, blue is always used in like animated movies to kind of correlate you with like the good character, and so I think it's obviously set up with Rory so that we like her, have an amenability towards her. And obviously all the other characters are wearing blue, so you're going to be like, well, we're supposed to not like Paris at first. So yeah, I get that. But I do think with Rory specifically, the blue, to me, we keep talking about Harvard, but I know about Yale. And I could pretend I don't know about Yale, but I do. And so I do have to talk about it. And the blue that Rory is always wearing, whether it's a Chilton color or sometimes she's wearing a blue sweater, like in one conversation she has with Paris at the Harvard College Fair, is that supposed to be an insinuation that she goes to Yale rather than Harvard? Still an Ivy, but I don't know what the other Ivy's colors are. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the other Ivies are. But I do think the blue preppiness, the style, the uniform is supposed to align with her character of kind of this reserved girl at this point who's really smart, really a calm presence in her mother's life. And it's also, I think, a lot of her costuming outside of school. I like that it is very fitting with their like socioeconomic income. It doesn't feel like she's wearing, like, you could watch a teen show now and when people are just like vaguely middle class, they'll have these like amazing outfits and you're kind of like, well, that doesn't make sense, does it? Like, I don't know that you can afford. Here it feels very fitting that Rory is she's just this like perfect girl next door, and I feel like that fits. Lorelai, on the other hand, has a very specific style, which is a lot of patterns, a lot of different things layered on each other, whether it's a scarf, and it's not to say she doesn't look good. I think she always looks fabulous, and there's a couple of her outfits that I'm like, ooh, girl, like, to be honest, the bad outfit she wears to go to Chilton with the trench coat, the tie-dyed t-shirt, the shorts, and the cowboy boots, like, put that on my Pinterest closet board because I'm obsessed. She wears a lot of loud colors, patterns, graphic tees, like the B-52 shirt that's even referenced in the show. And to me, like, some of her ensembles can be a little bit chaotic, where she's got a headband, or maybe she's got a scarf, or she's wearing a jacket on top of something. But to me, it always looks good, and it's a symbol of the fact that, like, Lorelai has been able to kind of pull her life together from a bunch of different messy pieces and can hold it together. She's a messy person at times. She can have a lot of different things going on, but she has a heart of gold, and that's why her like outfits never to me look bad. Like, they do look really good. In contrast to her mother, Emily, who's typically wearing very polished, very tailored, solid colors, Lorelai's patterns and graphic tees distinguish their class standing and also kind of the way they see life. That, like, Emily is not a rich person who's able to relax, but Lorelai is a person that can dress up and kind of fit the role she needs to be for any given moment, whether it's showing up to Chilton, a job interview, being at the inn. She knows how to dress the part, but Emily is kind of just stuck in her ways. Like, even when they're casual before the Friday dinners, like, it's not a casual outfit. And then Luke's wardrobe, to me, the flannels, the denim, the backwards hat, the t-shirt, to me, it's a very like simple outfit, but to me, it represents a level of stability that I think he brings and represents in the show for Lorelai and Rory. Not only is his restaurant somewhere they go literally every single day, and it represents like the permanence, like his is a classic style, a classic easy fit. Like, he's an easygoing guy, he's the guy next door, but he's also like prepared, like it's a working outfit. It's not an outfit that's just like jeans and a t-shirt casual. It's like it looks like a working man's outfit, and I think in that way he does kind of lean more towards like his wardrobe is maybe a little bit more aligned with like Lorelai's outfit, because we very rarely see him in something that's not t-shirt, flannel, jeans, backwards cap, you know what I'm saying? And I am not mad about it. Not a single moment have I been mad about it. So that so far is all I have to say about the first 7-ish episodes of Gilmore Girls. I will be updating you guys on how I'm watching these episodes. My plan for these video recaps is to do about 5-ish episodes, give or take a few episodes, every time I make a video. So watching that much before I make the video. Just because if I waited the whole season, that feels too long to touch on specific scenes. But if I did every single episode, we would literally be here for probably over a year trying to finish the show. And also there's going to be some episodes where I don't have like a lot to say or a big reaction. So I think this is the best way to go about it. I'm planning to probably tell you guys on a YouTube post prior to the video going up, letting you know how many episodes I have watched up to. So we can treat this a little bit like a book club where maybe there's times where we get on a live stream and watch an episode together, but you guys can follow along, if you will, with your own watching or rewatching calendar, so that you're not getting spoilers in my videos or that you're remembering exactly what I'm talking about. I just feel like that will be a fun way to like bring this community together, and like it'll be a really cozy, fun time. I'm thinking, whatever it is, I would love if you subscribed and joined our little community of fangirls here as we watch Gilmore Girls, talk about the upcoming season of Nobody Wants This and Max and Hall, and of course the Summer I Turned Pretty and all our theories before the movie. I am trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, and I am just about 100 away, so I would so appreciate if you subscribed to the channel. It would just help me out a lot. I thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys hopefully in my very next video. Bye, y'all.